This is the first video in the Desmos video project that we're going to be working on for the rest of April. So here is the project. You can find this in the Schoology folder. It goes through setting up an account in Desmos and looking at everything that you need to do for the assignment. Right, there's some steps in here that I'll talk about later on. You can see that it's due at the end of the April. The contest itself is due at the end of the April as well. Here's the rubric and some links I put in there, as well as some pictures to try for you to guess at. But if we go ahead and go to the Desmos project, that link at the top will bring you here. Right here you can see is the contest. Feel free to look at this. You can look at the different categories of what they are looking for. Right, there are prizes for this. The one thing that they do focus on is that your pictures should be a free public domain picture. Right, it can't be something that you've taken off of the internet unless it's a free public domain picture, or go ahead and take a picture yourself. Here are lots of different, I just typed in Desmos Math Project or Desmos Math Graphing Project, and here you can see quite a few different pictures that you can create using Desmos, and that's what you're going to be working on for the next few classes, or quite a few classes, and coming up with a creative art picture. Right, if I go into Desmos, here is one that I found. Right, there's a lot of different types of functions in there. I'll even talk to you about moving pictures. They also talked about putting sound in there, but I haven't played around with that. Here is one that I've done with other classes. It is I called it a selfie project. A couple of you have done this. You cannot submit that as your project. Can anyone guess who this is? If you're not sure, and you can see how before I show you who it is, right? I created folders, which is what I want you to do. You don't have to do that for the project, but you're going to have to do it for me for a grade. But in here, you can see all the different types of functions that I used for it. But this is, right, Selena Gomez, and that's what I want you to work on today, is uploading that picture. So here's the one that I am currently working on. All right, so your first lesson for this video is how do you upload a project? Well, if you go to the plus sign right here and click on that, at the very bottom it says add an image. Right, then it's going to ask you to find your image. So I already uploaded one, and that's what I'm going to bring in. Here is my son, who's probably so excited that I'm using this. Granted, this is probably about 10 to 12 years old. Then you can play around with moving the picture. You can zoom in and zoom out. If you want to change where or how big the picture is, go ahead and click on it. And then you can, right, open it up if you want to make it bigger, if you want to move it around. Let's say I'm going to open it to right here. So that is your first lesson. Then the second one is you can go ahead and start to add functions in there. If I am trying to, let's say, start here with his peace symbol, right? I had started to put a function in there. I'm not sure if that matches it perfectly, but I put in a parabola for this, right? And again, you're trying to match whatever you can in there. The one part that you need to do with all of these is you need to specifically graph it on a certain domain, because we don't need lines extending forever. So if you don't know how to put in a domain restriction in here, after your function, so here you can see I had guessed at a parabola in here. All right, and all I did was put in a basic parabola, and then I moved it around, right? If I play around with a 2.9, you can see I can put in 3. I can change that to 5. Right, it'll move it around, so you want to put it to where you think best matches part of your picture. But now after this, if I use the squiggly brackets, and then type in where I think it might be restricted. So maybe I'm going to put in negative 2.69 less than x less than negative 0.27, I think, if that's what I was going to choose, and close the brackets. Notice right away that starts to restrict that domain in there. So you can start to change where the function begins and ends. And I added a couple more, right? Here's some other parabolas. Here's a straight line. And if you want to see how you're going, right, go ahead and don't delete your picture right here, but just go ahead and turn your picture off, right? And there you can see the beginnings of my peace sign. And I'll add one more thing in there. If you want them to all be the same color, you can hover over the color picture, right? Hold your button down, you'll see the color style there, and then I can come in and either change the color or change it to dashed or dotted lines. So there is your video lesson today. Go ahead and start to find a picture that you want to create using functions.